So the market's still playing out exactly according to our previous predictions, which means it's all looking good, right? So I'm going to outline the next steps of what you can expect in the coming days and what you can expect in the following weeks after that. There is going to be one more opportunity where you'll have a chance to buy the dip, probably before pre-expansion, right? Just before the market starts to take off. So smash the like button, hit the bell notification, and subscribe to the channel, because in today's show, we're going to have a look at some of what the top altcoin picks may be for outsized returns moving into 2025. Not all the charts are looking perfect, only some of them, which means we're going to focus on the ones that are looking good and where you can possibly time an entry. So again, smash the like button, guys, and let's get straight into the show content. Of course, Banter bubbles over here. You can see the day is looking pretty decent. And at one stage, even the monthlies were looking bad. But look at that. Some of the coins popping massively on the monthly. You got goats up here, 1,621% for the month, which is absolutely unbelievable. Weeklies pretty much in the top 100. All of the coins now looking good. Daily, most of them looking good. Let's see on the hourly. Everything really up on the hourly as well. So big turn of events. We spoke about this over the last couple of weeks, why it was probably a good opportunity to get into the market and buy the dip. But we know that psychology always remains the same, and probably a lot of you missed out. So for today, this show is going to be for you. For those of you that did miss out, we'll have a look at some final opportune zones where you can possibly get into some coins. Maybe some of you did listen, but you just weren't fully allocated, and you probably want to still buy a little bit more. So we'll have a look at that. The good news is there's still a lot of opportunity, because remember, yesterday we did have the FOMC meeting, as well as the adjustment to the Fed interest rates, right? So they did the 25 basis point rate cut over there. You can see for the next meeting, which is going to be coming up on the 18th of December. The expectation is that there'll be another 25 basis point cut. That's a 71% probability. We'll see how things adjust next week. Jerome Powell is going to be speaking once again. Maybe that will have some sort of an effect on this probability. But the most important thing to be focusing on is actually the report that came out, right? Here's the report from the Fed, the statement that came out. And we're really looking for this key phrase, the terminology, for some sort of a shift in the policy. And if you look over here, the committee will continue reducing its holdings of treasury securities and agency debt and agency mortgage-backed securities, basically meaning that if you look at this chart over here, the Fed total assets continue to decline and remain moving towards the downside. So we're waiting for a shift in that trend. At the moment, we're attempting to kind of front run them by, because this is essentially quantitative tightening, right? As long as they keep producing this statement, and as long as this continues to move towards the downside, it is in essence quantitative tightening, which is not conducive to risk on assets rallying. However, the market is essentially trying to front run this because they're calling the bluff, right? The market's calling the bluff. They don't believe that this is going to last much longer. And inevitably, they're going to have to pivot into quantitative easing, at which point this terminology will shift into something along the lines of they're no longer reducing their holdings, but essentially buying treasury securities and agency debt and agency mortgage-backed securities. So that's probably going to be what you're looking for. And that's going to create a massive guard candle within the crypto markets, which means you probably want to look to allocate and be in the market before something like that happens, and before this Federal Reserve total asset starts to climb towards the upside, which is typically where we see the aggressive runs, right? You can see over here when that started to shift. Look at that. Massive move towards the upside over there for the S&P 500. So we'll keep an eye out on that. It means if it didn't happen now, the next most likely time is going to be the 18th of December, right? So I think that by January, you'll probably see a shift. If I just have to put out a ballpark figure guess, I'm saying probably by January is where you're going to see the next major shift. If not December, then it's going to be sometime in January, right? So continuing on over here, we have the DXY. DXY still in possible macro distribution. Remember, zoom out when in doubt, the high time frame, we're still viewing, even if it does spike up like this, overall, this is probably macro distribution, and the decline of the dollar is where will essentially also help to time the top of the crypto cycle, right? When we see wherever that may come, right? If it comes over here, maybe it comes over here, and however deep it goes, that's where we're going to be looking for the top of the crypto cycle, and then we'll start to position into safer assets, right? So as it currently stands, still waiting for distribution over there. The stock market still remains very, very, very strong. All-time highs once again for the S&P 500, the NASDAQ, and the Dow Jones. We are currently long on the Dow Jones as well, so we'll continue to hold that position. And then we have Coinbase as well with a big move up here, pretty much just carrying on off of yesterday's analysis. All of that looks good. Now, let's look to Bitcoin. Bitcoin, remember, the average returns in the month of November are typically the best of the entire year, that being 43.57% returns, especially in a post-halving and post-election phase of the cycle, which is exactly where we're at now, right? That's when we expect the big moves to take place. So 43%, let's say 43.5%. Let's just go on average and say like 40%, right? 40%. Where would this put this candle? That's from open to close, 40% up. You see, that takes Bitcoin almost to the $100,000 mark, $98,000. Now, remember, I keep saying this every single month whenever people are feeling bearish when we're putting in the wick low of the month. I keep saying it, right? I keep saying that just because you have a big wick like this, don't be surprised at the capability of how quickly things can spike back towards the upside and you can close at high prices. So although it feels like it's probably impossible for something like that to happen, do not be surprised if you do actually put in a huge candle. Now, again, based on feelings, I also don't think that it's really possible that we're going to close the month on $99,000 or $98,000. But the good news is that I'm adequately positioned for higher prices regardless. So if it does, wonderful, right? That will be great. I think that a more realistic approach shows that you probably close this monthly candle somewhere here into the $80,000 region. So we'll have to keep an eye out on that. It is very important. We're still playing out the cup and handle formation, the SR flips all in play. You know, you have multiple candle closes above this key level. It's very significant. So we'll keep an eye out on that. The other thing I wanted to have a look at over here is using the Super Guppy indicator, which is simply a trend trading tool. It uses a various conglomerate of different exponential moving averages in multiples of 3, like 3, 6, 9, 12, and up in threes all the way to like the 66 exponential moving average. And basically, when all those EMAs are crossed above each other, price is trending onwards and upwards, it prints these big green bands, right? And this keeps you in moves for long periods of time, for trends. And you can see I'm on the weekly time frame just to reduce the amount of noise. We have on the top here Bitcoin. And what I wanted to showcase is actually the relationship, right? Bitcoin tends to lead, right? Everything, right? It first finds its bottom before the rest of the market does. And then it starts to turn the corner before the rest of the market does. And then it starts to expand before the rest of the market does, because that is Bitcoin. And you can see I've lined them up exactly. You can see over here when this one starts to turn from gray to green, occurred around the 13th of November, 2023. If you look at this one over here, which is now total 2, so it's the entire market cap minus Bitcoin. This one starts to turn towards the upside over here on the 5th, right? Excuse me, this is the total crypto cap, so it's including Bitcoin or excluding Bitcoin. That's correct. And then we have this one over here, which is the crypto total market cap excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum. This one slightly later, just a couple of weeks later than what Bitcoin and total did. And then you have the same thing over here on the bottom, which is going to be others, right? This is the total crypto market cap minus the top 10 coins on CoinMarketCap or CoinGecko. And you can see this one over here is still in gray, right? That presents an opportunity. If this is a leading indicator and Bitcoin tends to go on these big moves first, followed by total 2, followed by total 3, followed by others, it's a pretty easy chart to read, right? So therefore, there are better times ahead, especially when you consider this. This is the environment where the altcoins run, right? When the Fed start to shift the policy into buying back assets and you move into quantitative easing, that's when you're going to start to see the rest of the market rally. So it's a lot to look forward to if you're focusing on something like this. This is probably a good time to be accumulating those coins, right? Altcoins specifically, especially strong altcoins. So we'll go through the list. For those of you in the well room, by the way, I have this morning dropped my entire portfolio with percentages, right? With all the percentage splits of every single coin that I hold. That's I just didn't include the ones that are like 0.01% of my portfolio because that's considered dust, right? It's irrelevant. So anything that's above that is in the whale room Discord if you guys do want it. Now, in order for the rest of the market to run in alignment with the shift from quantitative tightening into quantitative easing, we would need to also see the volume, right? We'd need to see an increase in the volume. More specifically, we want to see it break and hold between this $50 and $75 million region, because every time we've attempted into that $50 billion level for the 7-day exchange volume that's coming onto exchanges, then there's a rejection, right? And prices come down. So if we can see sustained action above that $50 billion mark, between 50 and 75, that's going to bode very, very, very well for the rest of the market. And that should start to look like 2021. And each time we expect the volume to be bigger, right? Here's your 2017, 2018 cycle. Here's your 2021 bull run. And we expect that the volume on this one should go magnitudes higher, right? Maybe we get to about 500 billion, which is going to be significantly more. So it shows that relatively speaking, things are still early. And the easiest way to look at things is also this chart. Remember, if Bitcoin leads as per the 𝗕𝗥𝗬𝗕𝗏 indicator over here, and you can see Bitcoin's only halfway through the cycle, then it shows that there is still great opportunities that are out there for the altcoin. So we're going to have a look at some of those coins today. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got 5 coins that are in a decent zone where you can start to layer orders for the next pullback. So stay tuned until the end. I'll bring that up. I'm giving you a timing aspect as well of when that could potentially take place. So weekly chart still looks good. This is the start of the breakout from the cup and handle formation on the monthly, as well as the weekly bull flag. All of that looks really good. I don't have any complaints with that. Here's your daily. Based on yesterday's candle close, we now officially can look at the fair value gap. And this is it, right? These are the levels. It's going to be between $70,453 on the downside, and on the upside over here, 74,611. Now, the area that I would mark out as the most probable zone to be hit would be these previous daily closes and opens, right? So I'd pull a line through here, looking at that yellow line. That's going to be about that $72,700. Now, whatever the altcoin is that you want to buy, you can kind of just track what Bitcoin is doing. And chances are, when Bitcoin finds support, if it pulls back into the fair value gap, which is an inefficiency, that's the zone where you're looking to pull the trigger on your altcoins, right? So essentially, you'd be looking for something like that, right? A pullback, maybe you come into this zone. What I like about that zone is it more or less equals 50% of this massive candle as well, which is typical of where you expect these inefficiencies to be refilled. So I'm looking for something like that, and then continuation higher. Now, when? That is the question, right? It's all about timing when it comes to these markets. When do I think that will happen? Well, I can't give you the exact hour or day, but I do believe that you probably see that pullback into the zone before the 15th of November. And by the time we're at the 15th of November, we're attempting the next markup phase, which is why I've marked this off with a white vertical line, right? So you had the huge volume candle over here. Let's continue to monitor the volume as price comes into that zone. And as long as you're defending those highs, that's really, really important. Remember, this still meets the criteria then of our Wyckoff accumulation schematic, which we've been tracking literally for months, right? Probably, I think we started tracking this in July, and we got the spring phase down here. Price moved up, higher highs, higher lows. We're starting to create a trend. So it would be great to see a consolidation into this, which is the exact definition of that Wyckoff accumulation SOS phase, which stands for not save our Solanas, but sign of strength, right? Sign of strength in this phase over here. That's what you're looking for. So prepare your accounts, get ready. It's going to be a fun ride. If you guys are looking for another place to take trades due to diversification, or maybe you just want a different exchange, there is a partnership opportunity running with a countdown timer over here now for BitUnix, where if you do sign up with them, you can actually win a trip to Dubai. If you come to Dubai, maybe I'll see you here. And you get a 6,000 USDT prize pool that you'll participate in. So if you do want to enter into that, the link is in the description below over there. This is a partnership with BitUnix. They're giving you a 20% rebate. So depending on how much you deposit, right, you'll get 20% on that. The links are below for BitUnix over there. If you guys want to take advantage and you want to win a trip to Dubai, there is, exchange that offers pretty much everything. Over 200 liquid trading pairs. You can see over here, works and feels just like all the world's best exchanges, right? So if you want to participate, there it is. Let's continue. Fear and Greed, 75, right? Fear and Greed over here. Oh, actually jumped down. No, yeah, there we go. I thought, wow, that's crazy. How did it go to 42? 75 on the Fear and Greed. Remember, it's normal that we expect the Fear and Greed to hang within this region as you're about to break out and move into a strong trending move. This is typical. Everything is looking decent over there. So we'll continue to monitor this, right? We're looking at the Bitcoin dominance, and we said, wouldn't it be crazy if it started to mark a local top on the exact day of the election. So far, that's looking to be the case. But again, I wouldn't count my chickens before they hatch, right? You need to wait for confirmation of this. This is going to take weeks, right? Weeks and weeks to confirm this. You don't just suddenly break down and move all the way to the bottom of this trading range in one candle. It's just not going to happen. So be patient. Again, all I'm suggesting is based on these charts over here. You can see others is slightly lagging. It hasn't yet turned green. Others is where your true degen altcoin plays are going to be. Anything that's number 11 on CoinMarketCap down to the bottom. Those are your true altcoins, right? And according to this, right, there's still going to be opportunity, right? When this breaks down, you expect others to push up, and that means simultaneously you should see the super guppy turn green and a new trend hopefully begin. You also have USDT dominance still coming towards the downside. That's going to bode well for others. Others should start to move towards the upside as well because of that. You have ETH BTC. We're still keeping eyes on this, right? It's just not enough, right? Similar to Bitcoin dominance, don't count your chickens before they hatch. It's just not enough. We have to wait a little bit more, right? We need multiple weeks of price action over here. This was the area of interest. You did come into the 1.618. You came into the bottom of the falling wedge. There's a lot of sensible reasons to believe that ETH BTC probably finds a bottom here. Maybe even this week's wick low was the exact bottom. But again, don't count your chickens before they hatch. This has been a painful trade for anyone that went heavy long into ETH, right? This is what the importance as well of tracking your favorite altcoins against ETH, because instead of going into ETH, we opted for Solana as the better play. Solana was outperforming Bitcoin. So if you pull up the Solana BTC chart, that was very strong against Bitcoin. Solana ETH chart as well was moving towards the upside, meaning Solana was crushing ETH, which just means it's the easier play, right? It was the lower risk opportunity was to go into Solana and instead of playing the guessing game of where ETH was going to bottom over here. But I know a lot of people want to play the guessing game. So the guessing game suggests that probably by January, we've put in a bottom timing-wise, right? Price-wise, how much lower could it go? I don't know. That could be the bottom. Give it a little bit more time. We'll update you accordingly. As for ETH USD, well, of course, you had a huge move up. This is also going to create a fair value gap on the daily time frame where you can start to target some of those levels, right? So there it is, huge move up, breaking through the top side. Wait for some sort of a pullback over here and we'll reevaluate. Let's get into some of the altcoin picks, right? So if you want the altcoin picks as well, guys, by the way, smash the like button. It really helps to get the show content out there. I'll do another show as well tomorrow, which is where we can focus on your requests, right? Chart requests, anything that you want charted. Bring those chart requests tomorrow. Drop them actually in the comment section of the YouTube channel underneath, not in the live chat, but in the comment section underneath. I can have a look and try and pre-plan some of those. Now, going through the list of coins, what I found was this, right? Again, just going back to this chart over here, Bitcoin was the first mover. Then we look to Total 2, which is miners Bitcoin, and it's all the rest of them. Most of the good coins, or at least the coins that have done pretty well and are looking decent, are in the layer one sector, right? And this is typical. If you look at the transition of coins that move or sectors that move within the cycles, so remember, you get Bitcoin first, then you have an overlap that goes into ETH. I guess in this instance, it's ETH or Solana. It was Solana that performed the best. Then you move into the layer ones or large caps, and then eventually you move into layer twos or mid caps. That could be AI. That could be various other sectors. And then eventually everything runs, right? Especially the low caps run at the end. Those tend to run last. So going back to our list over here, these are the ones that I found. I'm just reading from another screen. I've got Casper, right? Casper, one area of interest to look at over here. If you look at Casper coming down into this bottom zone over here, I think this is one that could line up for a decent trade. If you pull up your momentum oscillator over here, you're getting bullish divergence. You got 3 blue dots, right? 3 blue dots mean strong chance of a bottoming process that's occurring over here. Keep an eye out on Casper as it comes into the zone. It is definitely I hate to use that word overbought and oversold, but it is quite oversold at this point in time. If you get one more sweep into this, that will be a great entry. That will be 0.0965, right? So I hold about, in my portfolio, I think the one that I dropped now into the Whale Room Discord, it's approximately, I think it's like 5 to 6% of my portfolio. If it comes down into the zone over here, I'm probably going to top up ever so slightly to bring those holdings up a little bit more, specifically in Casper. The next one that I'm looking at over here, which there is a little bit of interest in, is NEAR, right? The reason I'm looking at NEAR over here is because you are holding the key support, the major range low. You had the big move up. You bled out just like everything else in the market. But this is a massive amount of liquidity that's built up here, right? Liquidity, 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 liquidity. And usually when you see something like this and it's approaching support, you tend to see those big candles that move towards the upside. We've actually taken multiple trades on NEAR before within this cycle. I think that we actually took this trade over here like that into this zone based on the exact same concept. So I'm looking for something similar over there. You know, if NEAR comes back, start to put in a bit of a high low around that 350. I think NEAR's one that's nearing its zone, right? No pun intended over there. The other one that I'm looking at over here is 𝗓𝗓. So if we have a look at 𝗓𝗓, we can zoom in. Here's your chart, right? It's pretty much putting in high lows. There it is, perfect high lows within this zone. You're still struggling with that downtrend over there. But if you zoom in and you have a look over here, based on the big candle that we had on, on Wednesday, you've now also created a fair value gap, right? So there's your big fair value gap coming into these zones. That's between 36 and 40 cents. When Bitcoin pulls back into the levels that I gave you, expect that you could see the same thing on 𝗓𝗓, right? So if you see something like that, right, maybe down to, again, I usually target about 50% of the prior candle. Sometimes it goes a little bit high, which is why I tend to scale the orders in. But around that 38 cents region, look for a little bit of support. Zoom in on the low time frames. Look at it on like the hourly. Watch and observe those wicks and the little candles that are printing. And if you can see, there is bullish demand that's stepping in. And you'll see that bullish demand because you'll get the candle coming down and then closing back up, right? Showing that buyers are stepping in the zone. Then it starts to open up the opportunity for you to gain your entry into that 38 cent region for 𝗓𝗓, right? Okay, the other one that I'm looking at over here is 𝗬𝗢, right? If you look at 𝗬𝗢, the reason I'm looking at 𝗬𝗢 is it's similar to 𝗓𝗓 in the sense that you printed that fair value gap. So again, areas of interest over here, you know, anywhere around that 215 to about 212, $2.12 to about 215. That's generally the area of interest. The next pullback probably comes into there, find some support, but this one's been very, very, very strong. Tokenomics aside, right, it's been very strong. You have the rounded bottom over here. You broke out of the falling wedge. We got in originally on the final shakeout. I think this is currently about 2 to 3% of my portfolio. Maybe I'll add a little bit more. I'll just see how price is reacting and you know, what other opportunities are out there when the market does pull back. But this is a range high, right? This is a range high. You're clearing the range high. This is similar to Bitcoin, basically holding above the $69,000 to $72,000 region. You consider that a high time frame SR flip, which generally leads to a springboard effect where you get price catapulting higher very, very quickly. So looking for the same thing, right, into that fair value gap. The other one that I'm looking at over here is Injective. And the reason I'm looking at Injective, you'll notice a common theme, right? So if we look at 𝗬𝗓, let's just go back to 𝗬𝗓 over here. This is what I was speaking about yesterday, where I said that it's interesting when you look at things like gold, which had the huge cup and handle formation and broke out. So the S&P 500, huge cup and handle formation and broke out. We have Bitcoin busy breaking out of the cup and handle formation. And then you notice that there's a lot of altcoins that started in the same way. The initial identification of those cup and handle formations started off as a falling wedge, right? And I gave that demonstration yesterday. Please feel free, if you don't know what I'm talking about, to just scroll through yesterday's video and find the part where I talk about that. But you get that falling wedge, which we saw in a couple of the other leading altcoins like 𝗬𝗓, and then it starts to break out, right? And I mean, another way to view it is that you did get essentially a cup and handle, right? A cup and handle formation over here. And now you're looking at the breakout of that cup and handle. It's not always pretty, right? It's never meant to be easy. If it was pretty, everyone would know it would be a cup and handle and we'd have no edge in this market. So you have to have an eye for it, right? And you're seeing the same thing. If you look at things like Injective, there it is. I mean, it's very preemptive to call something like that. It's just, wouldn't it be interesting? I guess that's all I'm saying. Wouldn't it be interesting if this plays out exactly like all of those other charts did? It starts off as a falling wedge, it breaks out, it kind of fails a little bit over there, and then it starts to round, right? All the way up you take 𝗥𝗬𝗕𝗥 back to 53, put in the handle formation over there. So you got your cup and handle, and then ultimately you break out. This starts to then have massive implied targets. So let's play, a speculative game. This is a speculative game. That would essentially then be the neckline. And then you're looking at the breakout of that neckline. Then you're talking about something like 𝗥𝗬𝗕𝗥 moving up to 75. Now, this is purely speculative. I know that a lot of people see things like that when I say something like this, and now they'll go and sell everything into 𝗥𝗬𝗕𝗥. Please don't do that. If you look at my portfolio, it's also still a very small percentage, but nevertheless, we're playing a speculative game. You broke out of the falling wedge. Maybe you're creating the rounded bottom formation over here that's going to lead into a cup and handle, which means we can place a bet, and then we adjust things and evaluate as things unfold. And if that bet plays off, we're going to make a lot of money. So we can minimize our risk by finding solid entry points, which again, I'm looking at just like the others. The fair value gap that was printed, this is coming between $17.50 and $20.67. And just like the rest of them, I'll scale into this order and I'll probably target 50% of this candle, which give or take is taking this to around 19, right? So anywhere around $19, I'm looking for a bit of an entry, and then we'll see if we can catch a new trade there. These also, just for the sake of, full disclosure and clarity, to be completely frank with you guys, these are spot positions for me, right? Some of you may take this on leverage, all good and well. Just manage your risk accordingly, understand how much you can afford to lose. They take time to play out, right? If we look at something like 𝗬𝗎 and we base it off the same thing, this would be like buying 𝗥𝗬𝗕𝗥 somewhere around here. How long did it take to get back to this part of the cycle, right? Or this part of the cup and handle? That took 84 days. That's almost 3 months, right? 3 months over there. If you're holding a perpetual trade for 3 months, you're going to be paying a lot of money on funding, and there's plenty of opportunity to wick you out and shake you out. So if you have the capital and the availability and the opportunity to get into something with spot, do so. The interesting thing as well is you need to be patient when it comes to these fair value gaps, right? You can see there was also a huge one over here and it got filled. It took a lot of time. Filled over here once. This is on 𝗬𝗎, pushed back up, rejected, came back into 50% of that candle. It took a lot of time, right? From there to there, before you hit 50% of that candle, was 25 days, and then off it went to the races. So these are some of the things that I'm looking at, right? It's not the only thing that I'm looking at. There are a couple of other coins, right? We've seen, these AI coins, AI agents, absolutely pumping. When it comes to the AI agent sector, there is, some other opportunities over there. We have spoken about some of these before. One is reactive network, right? Reactive network. So if we go through to this over here, we can just quickly have a look. Let's just grab this and we go to reactive network. Okay, what are they? What's called Let's just quickly pull this up. PQ. Wait, let me just find it in the list over here. So one of the other ones that I'm looking at, let's just go through under the cross-chain section. Okay, PRQ. So if we go to PRQ, you'll remember this is one that I'm looking at as well. If you can see the chart over here coming into the range lows, there you go, range low reaccumulation zone, right? The reason that we're looking at this one specifically is because they have rebranded their modeling, right? So instead of launching with the VC model, they're now launching with the free model. So if you go to PRQ over here, let's just quickly put in PRQ. This is just for those of you who missed it. I know some of you already got an allocation. You can see that the total market cap over here is 21 million. And if you look at the total supply and circulating supply, it's almost all out in circulating. Up a little bit, guys. Just bear with it. They are now coming out with, of course, reactive, right? Reactive network. The React token is going to be launching probably in December. If you are to participate in at least the new coin, the best way to get exposure is to basically buy the old one, which is PRQ. When they launch, they're going to give you a bridge, and you'll be able to bridge the PRQ tokens across, and you'll receive on a one-to-one basis the new React tokens, right? The React tokens are speculated to launch at about 5 times the valuation, because this is about $20 million market cap. It's going to come out most likely around 100 million. That's at least based on various different speculative models. It's got a little bit of a narrative opportunity with the AI agents. And the reason being is because of, if you, of course, have a look at how it's operating, they allow AI agents to execute complex DeFi trades, right? And they incorporate cross-chain borrowing on-chain, which means when the cross-chain narrative runs as well, which is why I have it in the cross-chain sector, then you're probably going to see this project perform. And if you look at Axelar as well, ascending triangle over there, holding up. This is probably also one to have a look at, by the way. Watch for any pullbacks that come down into the zone over here at 63 cents. Probably a good opportunity. PRQ, I've already given you, that's more or less right here in the buy zone. You also have a little bit of a fair value gap. Always manage your risk accordingly. But if you do want the levels on this one, your fair value gap is going to be over here. There we go. You got a little bit of a tighter one to operate with. So between 0.071 and 0.075. Those are the opportune areas, right? Okay, so that is for PRQ, which is getting you the React token. Okay, what else? What else, guys? Let me know what else. Those are the ones that I've identified. Zeus, we already allocated down into the bottom of the range over here. So Zeus is doing well. I mean, I wouldn't mind buying a little bit more of this as well if it comes down a little bit. You know, if you see another attempt into that zone. Otherwise, I do have enough. Rune. Okay, Rune's a little bit of a sloppy chart. We need to give this a little bit of time to unfold over here. That's your Rune chart, right? It was putting in higher lows. You got a big sweep of the liquidity, came back down. Give it time to digest. This is also part of my portfolio. What else? What else? Let me know in the comments. We can pull up a couple of your requests. Render. We can have a look at Render. Let's just go to the AI sector. So Render, I'm waiting for Render, right? There's Render. It's still putting in lower lows and lower highs. It's still very, very sloppy. You know, there's other coins that we've looked at before under the same, with the same principles where we're targeting the big inefficiencies from a previous wick. And sometimes it takes a really long time. I think that's my area of interest. I'll probably layer some bids over there at $3.77. And I need to see more clarity from this chart. Right now, it's still pretty choppy. Okay, MOG, yeah, we can have a look at MOG. MOG put in a pretty sizable move yesterday, and I think there was some obvious profit taking coming from that. Let's just see, where's our MOG chart? Here it is. Okay, so there it is. So you'll notice with the meme coins, though, there's massive wicks all over the place, right? It's really difficult to trade. With the memes, you want to trade it alongside Bitcoin. If Bitcoin moves up, these are going to move up quicker. If Bitcoin comes down, there's going to be a bit of profit taking. So try and establish your positions when Bitcoin's coming into key support regions. Chart-wise, though, you know, this had multiple tests into the golden pocket over here. I'm not going to read the number. It's got too many numbers on MOG, but there it is. It hit the golden pocket with those wicks. Price pushed up over here. You put in a huge wick. Probably are going to consolidate, right? This is probably going to chop about. You know, maybe something like that before later moving up when Bitcoin moves up. Okay, Aptos. Yeah, we can have a look at Aptos. Aptos. Oh, Cardano. I want to bring up Cardano. Cardano actually had a pretty sizable move, right? So it was coming into the range low. We said, love it or hate it. The truth is, just like the rest of the coins, falling wedge formation, breaking out, chopping into this zone over here, could get a bit of a move. It got that move coming into the range high over here. You know, that's your profit taking zone, which is why some people are actually taking profits already. So you can even see our lot lines, right? That was from the last show that we did where somebody requested that. Okay, Aptos. Aptos still range bound. You hit the mid range. You held it as support a couple of days ago. You've pushed up. You now want to see Aptos start to reclaim above $11.50. Let's have a look at Phantom as well. Phantom is one that, you know, I may be interested in the future. I just haven't seen a great entry point over here. It's been kind of choppy as well. What worries me is all the underwater people from the price cycle. I don't know if those people are still looking to exit. We know they're rebranding as well to Sonic, but there it is, right? You hit the trend line, big move up over here. Just continue to wait. You do have a fair value gap that's formed between these candles. So similar to Bitcoin, pullbacks into this region on Phantom. That's going to be between 60 cents and 68 cents. That could provide an opportunity to get in. All right. What else? Total 3 against Bitcoin is still coming down, right? So we do have to be careful of that. Let's look at others. Others, he has not others, but others against Bitcoin. There's others against Bitcoin. Remember, this could still bleed against Bitcoin for a little bit longer, right? Let's see, percentage-wise, you could still be doing about 15 to 20% down. And if you're coming for the horizontal, that would be a whole lot worse, right? So we'll need to time it. We'll need to dollar cost average and slowly get into your positions over time. I do want to also bring to your attention, there's an incredible article over here, how Alex turned $500 into 6.5 million with smart trades, right? So if you want to read this is written by us. It's the Whale Room, at least the Whale Room article. It's quite a long one because it's extensive and important. Have a read through this. It outlines the importance of risk management. It outlines the importance of understanding your risk to reward ratio when it comes to finding trades. And if you can adequately do that and control your drawdowns within positions over time, you can basically calculate how much money you're going to make over time, and you can do absolutely phenomenally well. So if you do want to get this article, there's a link over here that will take you to it. It's free. Just go through down to, there it is. Sign up for our crypto newsletter. Go to the Whale Crypto Trades newsletter over there. Sign up. This is a Substack blog that we're dropping Monday to Friday, so every day of the week. And ultimately, or every weekday, I should say, not every day of the week, but every weekday you'll receive that. And it's also for the Whale Room members. You have it in here if you want to access all of the blog posts alongside all of your videos, your educational videos for the Whale Room members. That is there. For those of you who still want to join Whale Room, remember there is still sign-up opportunities over here under Black Friday. So let's leave it at that, guys. I'll catch you all tomorrow. We'll definitely do some altcoin requests. We'll do all the altcoin requests tomorrow. Drop them in the comment section straight after the show. That's from me. And I'll see all of you on tomorrow's show. Cheers for now.